Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order for the Town of Brunswick Planning Board for May 15, 2025. Will everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have a rather full agenda tonight, so we're going to get going on it right away. This is the agenda as it's posted on the town website and the town board. As follows. Number 1, Smith waiver of subdivision. Applicant seeks to transfer 11.05 acres from a 13.05 acre parcel of property located at 1628 New York State Route 7 and transfer it to adjacent property at 1692 New York State Route 2. Kyle Smith is the applicant. Number 2, Paramount Building Group, major subdivision. This was tentative, and I was told just now that we received notification that the applicant wishes to be placed on the agenda for our next meeting. So I will read it. The applicant proposes a major subdivision on approximately 33 acre parcel of land, as well as construction of a new road with a cul-de-sac and water line extension, on property located at the northeast corner of Spring Avenue Extension and Crook Road. Paramount Building Group of New York is the applicant. Number 3, Riser subdivision, waiver of subdivision. Applicant seeks a lot line adjustment to transfer approximately 5 acres to the adjacent parcel on property located at 52 Flint Lane. Henry Riser is the applicant. Number 4, CBE North America, waiver of subdivision, site plan, and special use permit. Applicant seeks to subdivide 99.51 acre parcel to create 2 new lots, 24.96 acres and 74.55 acres, and construct 2 community solar facilities on property located at 511 McChesney Avenue Extension. CBE North America Incorporated is the applicant. Number 5, Marie's Muse, site plan, minor subdivision, and special use permit. Applicant seeks minor subdivision approval, site plan approval, and a special use permit to construct a retail store with gasoline sales on the western portion of the site, and a drive-through restaurant and second retail store on the eastern portion of the site at 727, 737 Hoosick Road and 4 Mohawk Avenue. Marie's Muse LLC is the applicant. Polito Development Group, site plan is number 6. Applicant seeks site plan approval to construct a retail store on 1.19 acre parcel on property located at 291 Oakwood Avenue. Thomas Murley is the applicant. Number 7, Johnston Associates, site plan. Applicant seeks site plan approval to install a concrete pad on which 2 dumpsters will be placed behind the Walmart Plaza on property located at 740 Hoosick Road. Johnston Associates LLC is the applicant. And number 8, Brunswick Acres major subdivision approval of an extension. Applicant seeks an extension on a previously approved major subdivision application. Brunswick Acres is the applicant. And under new business, we have Planning Board will review a new application that was received following the May 1st, 2025 regular meeting. Just for the benefit of everybody here, I know that there's quite a crowd we have tonight, and there are some items on our agenda that have raised some interest. I would like to state that there are no public hearings at this scheduled for tonight. There is no public comment received by the board at our regular meetings. So just so you know that. And with that being said, we will start our meeting with the review and approval of the planning board minutes for May 1st, 2025. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at those? Are there any comments, amendments, changes, additions? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as they were submitted. Do I have a second? Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And now moving on to our agenda. The first on the agenda is the Smith waiver of subdivision. So you were before our board, the last meeting under new business.
Yep.
You presented your plans. It's basically a lot line adjustment.
Yes.
Is there any changes to this drawing that you got?
Nope.
Does anybody have any questions on this? Pretty straightforward. Could you just explain quickly what you want to do?
Yeah, so, I own property at 16, my residence is at 1692 State Highway 7. And last year I purchased the property at 1628 State Highway 7. 1628 had 13.05 acres. I would like to move 11.05 acres of that to my homestead parcel, leaving the house at 1628 with 2 acres.
Does anybody have any questions? I noticed that you do also have, there's been, for the record, an ag statement submitted. And you have completed a short environmental assessment form, part 1, which has been reviewed. Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Is it, Wayne, do you have any questions? I have none. Andy, do you have any?
No. I just had one comment. I have property that adjoins his property. I have no financial interest in this at all.
Okay. So you do not wish to recuse yourself?
None.
I'll make the same statement. I have adjoining property to the parcel that's being accepted, and but I have no financial interest in this.
Ditto.
Okay. All right.
Are there any conditions?
Ditto, same thing.
Well, it isn't, it's not a building
No,
lot per se.
no, he's no creating any new lots or.
So there shouldn't be any health department approval on any,
No, it's more than 5 acres.
okay.
Any conditions besides the normal deed and description of the merge to the property?
Gotta get the deed back.
Right, that's part of that. I don't see any. There is a standard on these types of lot line adjustments that the property divided from your adjacent parcel merged into your land.
Mhm.
There needs to be a merger deed prepared, and that just filed with the building department to show that it was merged.
Sure.
So as not to create another building lot.
Okay.
Is there any issue with any existing septic field that might be,
No,
it's the house that remains?
It's shown on the.
It's shown on the map.
yeah, it's all within the,
It appears it's,
Yeah, we kept the lot line.
lot line except require 10 feet. That's, okay. All right, and then I don't see any reason why we can't move forward.
I'll make a motion
How about a secret determination first?
Sure.
Okay? You can make a negative secret determination. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on the secret? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No motion to approve? Okay, there's a motion to approve the waiver, lot line adjustment.
With probably Mike, with the stated condition regarding the merger deed.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're all set.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Do you want the copies of this?
Uh,
These are the ones where it's stamped. It's up to you.
those were copies provided for you guys. I have copies.
Okay,
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
you're welcome. Okay. Second on our agenda was the Paramount Building Group, as I stated during reading the full agenda, that they have asked to be removed from the agenda and placed on next week's, or next meetings, which is the 5th of June? 5th of June. Can you list those as tentative? Okay. All right. Okay. Now we're moving along. Next on our agenda is the riser. Henry? Now, just for the record, this is now an amendment to a minor subdivision? What is it? Okay. I know there's a lot of discussion at previous meetings about the road and so forth and so on. And we received this. This is revised on the 8th of May, so this is the latest, the most current revision that we got. Is that correct?
Okay, so basically we have the two applications that are in. One is the lot line adjustment for lot 9, 52 Plant Lane. We show on the new plat plan, the shows a dotted line with the original 5 acres in the Gray Ledge subdivision. I'm taking 5 acres, approximately 4 point something. So it's going to be roughly a 9-acre lot. And that's the lot line adjustment.
Okay.
And in doing so, I was asked to add some stuff to the plat. We needed to add language that the road was going to be, the road that we're going to use, the existing road that was there, had to be 20 feet wide minimally for the fire code. So we added that language right down on this spot right there, Reservoir Lane. And we also added additional language to the plat that we're using the roadway. It exceeds, it would have exceeded the 4 lot maximum they could have on the road at 20 feet wide. So we added the language. That prior to the issuance of any building permit on lot 4, and lot 4 is an existing lot already, that's using the driveway. So if we do build something that requires the use of riser rock lane for access, it would have to be brought to fire apparatus road code standards per New York State Fire Code. So basically, lot 4, if we ended up wanting to do something up there, build a house in addition to what we're doing here, we would have to upgrade the road. And in the language, the reason it says that requires the use of Riser Rock Lane is because Riser Rock property, lot number 4, has a frontage on 351. So it could build on the lot without using that road. So that's why it says it in there like that. So you could, lot 4 is still a lot, but if it's gonna use the shared driveway, then we'd have to upgrade the road. So we added that language there. That was basically it.
Ray, do you have any comments on those notes?
No.
Okay, you understood them?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. The only question I have is, if it's put up to grade for fire apparatus and stuff, is there any need to have like a turnaround at the end there, or at this point, it's not
Not if
necessary?
it's at the proper width.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, does this does not require a public hearing, or is that the discretion of the board?
This is not adding lots or amending lots, they're adding flat notes.
Okay,
Should be deemed a minor modification
okay,
to the minor subdivision plat. So there's pending in front of you 2 actions, the lot line adjustment, the waiver, as well as adding additional plat notes to the existing minor subdivision.
do those require 2 proposals?
For the record, yes.
Okay. Does anybody see why we can't proceed along?
I got a couple questions. On lot 2, where it narrows down and goes out to 351. Now, so where that right there, there's a line across there.
Right there?
Yeah, it's all one lot, right?
Yeah, that's I don't know what that line is.
Why?
I think it was just originally on the map. But this lot 2 does continue right down to 351. That would be the frontage for the lot.
Right. And then when you go up in the sketch plan, the thing up in your corner there, it doesn't show that piece of property going out to 351. Off of lot 2. There should be another, that narrow strip of land should be shown on that.
Yeah.
I guess if you're gonna do that, you gotta take that little line out of that. But I don't think that'll slow anything down tonight.
That looks like he took off the tax map, the county tax map.
Well, the changes that he wants, local sketch thing.
Yeah, we can add that onto the map. Looking at, this is the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the line was on the prior map. I think it was a line when we originally had the easement shown on there, so it's just going to be taken off. And also, it looks like, on the top here, they just used the same one and then add the driveway in at this one, so take the line out and add the frontage.
Yeah.
That's shown on the rest.
That could be in a condition of approval.
Correct.
Anyone else? Then, we'll do the waiver of the lot line adjustment first. And we need a seeker.
Make a bigger declaration and
One second.
Okay, there's a negative declaration and a second. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Any opposed? Now, on the approval of the waiver subdivision lot line adjustment. If either one, there's two conditions we just talked about. Do not apply to the waiver.
That's correct. But on the waiver, same condition, there should be a merger deed, and the merger deed filed with the building department.
Okay. Does anybody wish to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a second with that condition. Is there any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now on the amendment to the minor subdivision. Did I get that right?
Correct.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the minor subdivision amendments with the two conditions that the small hanging line on lot 2 be removed from the large map and the line for lot 2 be added to the location sketch map.
You only needed one seeker, right?
The major subdivision had previously been subject to seeker review. This is just adding plat notes, so I don't view that as a secretable action. So the motion is appropriate.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Henry, you're all set.
All right, thank you very much.
You- If we're gonna make changes to that drawing,
Okay, so I, went through the environmental record that was produced by the applicant, all the plans, the main plans, they submitted a landscape mitigation plan, all the reports, which include, not limited to, wetland report, a visual impact assessment, traffic, wasn't a traffic study, but it was a site distance and evaluation, as well as the part 1 of the EAF and other correspondence from State Historic Preservation Office. So I've completed my review of the existing record. I went through the part 2 and completed the items with the exception of the visual piece. At the last meeting, we discussed a site visit. I think it's important that that site visit be accomplished before the board or I make any determinations on impacts in regards to visual. So I would recommend that we proceed with the site visit before we complete part 2.
okay? I know that was discussed at our last meeting. Unfortunately, the weather deterred any visits the first week, and things got tied up. But you made an indication to the building department that you would like to attend any of these visits, or a representative from CBA.
Yes.
I think that's a good idea. I would be prepared to, set up an appointment next week.
Yeah.
We suggested that we do it in small groups, 2 or 3 groups. I believe, Mr. Chorney, he had visited the site and talked to Mr. Beecher, took him around, so, if you want to be included on more.
Sure, I would, yes.
Okay. What is the availability within the next 2 weeks for everybody? From the CBD?
We can make someone available.
Okay. Why don't I get with Wayne, we can call tomorrow and see if we can set up a tentative date.
Would that be during the day or evening, or what are you thinking?
Whichever convenient for you, I know you have, things going on during the day, so. Is it available to do, site visits in the evening?
Yes.
Okay. And I would suggest maybe, I would like to be included with Wayne's.
Do you want to coordinate, time after this meeting? You want to do it now?
I mean, like, need this meeting to go, is that what you're?
No, I can see my calendar.
I mean, I
Can't do Monday.
Next Monday's Memorial Day, right?
Following Monday is Memorial Day.
following the 26th is Memorial Day, right? I would assume that we try to do it this week. Might get tied up with Memorial Day.
Right.
Okay,
I'm not available this week.
okay. Let me show of hands. Does everybody want to do a site visit? Okay. So we should have at least, well, we'll have to have two site visits. Would you like to,
Sure. So regarding site visits of the board, if there is less than a quorum present, it does not constitute a meeting under the open meetings law. And you can have discussion with the applicant as you walk through the site. In the event more than 4 or more, so there's a quorum, you can continue to do a site visit, but you cannot, to be in compliance with the open meeting law, discuss the application or deliberate in any manner. Oftentimes in these situations, less than a quorum participate in individual site visits with the applicant on the consent of the private property owner.
okay. So it seems to me like if we're 7 board members, we're probably going to have at least 3 visits. Okay. Well, why don't we set up the first one? I'd like to be included on the first one with Wayne. So Wayne, why don't you?
I'm available next Wednesday afternoon and anytime Thursday.
Okay.
That's the 22nd. Correct.
Hold on a second.
And Friday's open.
I could do Thursday. You said Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon?
Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, anytime.
I could do it Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
We got- So it'd be, right now it would be, we could take one more on that day?
Thursday, I can't.
Would 4 constitute a quorum?
Yes.
Correct. 4 will constitute a quorum.
But I think 3 is fine.
Right. So we got 3, we got 2 here, but he's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Just if it would be easier for Wayne's schedule, I don't think the visits probably would take more
I wouldn't think so.
Say that again.
For Wayne's schedule, so we can try to maximize his availability. I think an hour would probably be good, so if we just took a block Thursday, and we did, one group at like 12 o'clock or something like that, the next group comes in at 1 o'clock, that way, we don't have to drag Wayne back out to the site multiple days.
That makes sense. Can everybody do it Thursday afternoon? You make it work? Okay, why don't we just work out the numbers on,
Okay.
are you available to do like a, you just say noon and
I was just making up date times.
like a 1 and a 2 o'clock visit?
Yeah, if it's Thursday,
Okay, why don't we work out the details on that
That sounds good.
and get back to you on that, all right? So Thursday is the 22nd? Okay. Moving along here. Is there anything else we have to discuss at this point? Obviously, we weren't able to move it ahead to a year and a half.
yeah, I hesitate to do it until, until everything is complete. And that,
Okay.
and I could make that available to the board.
And I believe we addressed your technical comments on the site.
Yes.
I don't remember your name,
John Hearn.
John.
Andy, we received 2 correspondence. Will these be put in the record from the residents of the area regarding CBD, or wait until the public hearing?
Sure, you can note that 2 correspondences were received that can be put as a project file and can be a copy provided to you.
Does anybody have any questions for the applicant at this point regarding the,
That's why we want to meet with
I mean, is there any questions that have come up the last 2 weeks that you wish to ask the applicant at this point? And I guess we're all set for tonight. We'll put you on our agenda for our next meeting, which is on June 5th.
All right.
And we should ideally maybe have, be able to move forward a little on this. We'd like to get to a public hearing situation.
Yeah, but I think still, as I fill out the part 2, there's gonna be some discussion.
Okay.
with the board. Ultimately, the board makes the decision on secret, and I'm here to make recommendations.
We should have a secret determination before we have a public hearing.
Correct, there is a subdivision component to the application under the New York town law. We do need to complete the secret determination prior to the public hearing.
All right. Well, I have no other questions. If you don't have any questions for us, we'll arrange those site visits and move forward. All right? Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is Marie's News. Okay, at this point, as you're setting up there, Tim, we are at a point where we were going to review a draft resolution. Before we get into that, if you have any updates or changes to the plan that we should be aware of? I know we got copies of the site plan.
Yeah, sure. Good evening. Tim Price, Edward Fuller Engineering, here on behalf of the applicant. We've got Colton and Derek here with me as well, representing Mary's LLC. Since we were last before this board 2 weeks ago, we went through our response to comments to the public hearing letters. This board challenged us to further look into site lighting and add a restriction out to Mohawk Avenue. So we have taken another look at the lighting plan. We've eliminated a fixture here that was facing in the direction of the neighbors, so we eliminated that. We've added some housing shields behind the light pole that's right here to further block that from the neighbors. And we reoriented a light pole here that was facing this direction. We turned it to face the building, and that pulled in that foot candle line within our property line with no spillage over to Mohawk Avenue over that 125. In regards to the curbing restriction, we added a curb right here, in addition to the proposed signage that forces all traffic coming out of our site to the left. We were also asked to work with Wayne's office to address any final stormwater engineering comments. We coordinated with his office, and I'll let Wayne speak on update of their review, but we did work in regards to addressing stormwater comments as well.
Wayne,
So Buller's people did talk to my people,
okay,
and they've determined that this stormwater design is all ready to go. I mean, once the site starts to be prepared, we are available to guidance for something for construction.
And Mr. Bradley's been engaged and getting involved now that we're heading towards construction.
I did submit a letter of completeness, I guess, to Mr. Bradley, so that he could pursue submitting the, I don't remember the name of that form,
The MS4 acceptance form,
acceptance form. Yep.
so we can have SPD's burn for these.
okay. Before we get into discussing the draft resolution, I have a couple questions regarding the site as it exists now. I know you're in the process of removing trees, stripping out the houses and so forth and so on. What are the hours of operation for that?
7 to 3, 4, we haven't been in there.
Is it 7 days a week? Does it include weekends? Construction under, I'm going to call it demolition on the site, that was done on last Sunday, on Mother's Day.
Nobody authorized by us. We let the fire department do some drills. As far as demo goes, we didn't have any of our staff. We're looking to bring this down sooner than later. There's people going in and out of those houses. We're picking one in the building for the demo permits up tomorrow, so about 4 Mohawk. We're just waiting on our DOT traffic control, because we got back trailers heading out, and then as soon as that happens, everything's coming down. But we won't be working on the weekends or nights.
Okay, so you can't confirm or deny that,
There's
that
been
there
a
was
few-
anything done on that site on Sunday?
There's been a few, not here. Some of the families asked to come in and grab old cupboards and doors and stuff like that, but anybody that's been in there on Sunday is not authorized by us.
Okay.
Are the buildings still structurally sound for people to be in there?
Yeah, I mean, the fire department cut a couple of roof patches in and kicked a few doors, you know, they've shut the door, filled with smoke and kicked it down, but there's been no, all the asbestos removal's been, you know, topical surface, window caulk, stuff like that, but there's been no removal of anything structural.
The reason they're gutted the way they are is for the environmental asbestos removal that had to be cleaned out, cleared before.
Sure, yeah.
Well, this brings me to, one of the concerns I have is the hours of construction. And, that'll be part of the resolution, I believe, that we would be reviewing. So, do you have, at this point, the hours of construction that you're proposing?
I mean, we're Monday to Friday, possibly Saturdays, Sundays, we won't have people there.
Sundays or holidays? No. And it'd be like 7 to 4 normally?
7 to 5, Saturdays we typically push till 8 on most of our sites. I'm not aware if the town has an ordinance.
8 in the evening?
No, 8 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
No, we try to push Saturday morning start dates.
Okay. Because I think those are gonna have to be determined before we, what are the conditions of the resolution?
Yeah, we can establish them an hour after the permit issuance.
Okay.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier, and I forget if it was with this board or the zoning board, maybe we had a similar concern. And we're fine outlining parameters for construction. What we did request is being able to work with the building department if construction needs to happen outside of those hours, not strictly prohibit, because things do happen, and there's pieces of construction that are not noisy, right? Once the buildings are up, electricians could be inside, that isn't a nuisance to the neighbors that, you know, come towards the end of the year, we're under a gun to deliver these buildings to the tenants. So we're fine with outlining some standards, and then if we could also add a subsection that might say the applicant would work with the building department outside of those hours should it be needed, that would be helpful.
Okay.
In the zoning board minutes. It was stated 6 AM to 8 PM, 7 days a week. For construction. Now you're saying 7 to 5.
I don't recall the date when that was stated, but I think that was to set large parameters. If this board wants to shrink it down, then we can, but to Tim's point, if there's a paving day or the DOT curb cut and they mandate that we do it after 6 o'clock at night, there's certain things that sometimes are out of our control. Or again, on a paving day, they may want us to be constructed before 7 AM. So, but generally speaking, I have a lot of active construction sites, and to get people to stay after 5 is difficult. So, 6 to 8 is probably a general parameter, 7 to 5 is more realistic.
Okay. Just have a couple of questions on these plans are obviously reviewed by the fire department, and you're having them do drills now and that?
They're just doing, for the houses before they get demoed, they're just
Okay.
doing some breaching and, I'm not a firefighter, so, but just certain house drills.
And when's the last time they did that?
Today,
Thursday?
today. They were there today. Yeah.
Today? Okay. Did they have any, just for the record, they did have a comment on not having a gate on that exit onto Mohawk Avenue, is that correct? They were not in favor of the gate,
Correct.
because that was brought up by the zoning, right?
That's right. They also had a comment about in front of the eastern side of the site. We originally had that, I think, 18 feet, we bumped that to approximately 20 feet to accommodate their concerns with the fire apparatus.
Okay.
And we also we're going to relocate existing hydrant to better suit the way that they would attack the fire.
And I assume this is Brunswick 1, is that correct?
Yes.
This one, yes, correct.
This is in Center Brunswick.
Yeah.
All right. I think at this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to Andy. And he has a draft resolution that we can look at. Okay, the floor is yours.
Well, based on the planning board's deliberation at its last meeting and direction that a draft resolution be prepared, that's in front of you now. This was prepared based upon your deliberations at the last meeting, May 1. In standard form for the planning board's resolutions, it does review the procedural history and the recital clauses. You've seen this before. It was taken from the earlier resolution dealing with the secret determination. It does continue those recitals to indicate that a negative declaration was adopted, that the planning board and zoning board held joint public hearings on the application, that the public hearing was closed, that the applicant has responded to public comments in writing, which were reviewed by this board and the applicant. And based on your deliberations, the resolution is prepared to grant conditional approval concerning special use permit and site plan. That's in substantive paragraph 1 of the resolution. It's at page 4. You turn to that. And we'll note for the record that this draft resolution was reviewed by Wayne Bonesteel for technical sufficiency, and the chairman has also had the chance to review this. Now, I'll go through the conditions, but again, the board makes the decision. If the board wants any changes, any amendments, any additions to any of these conditions, that's within the board's determination, and it can be made this evening on this draft. The first condition that the board discussed concerned the exit onto Mohawk Avenue. As currently drafted, the condition is installation of mountable curbing at the exit from the project site on the Mohawk Avenue, directing all vehicles in a left turn direction, and installation of signage in proximity to the exit from the project site on the Mohawk Avenue, prohibiting right turns onto Mohawk Avenue. If the board has any changes or additions to that, we can discuss that. Okay. Next condition addressed the lighting, which Tim addressed earlier. Currently as drafted, on-site lighting must be down lighting and dark sky compliant, with exterior lighting intensity to be at a minimum standard as established by the Town of Brunswick zoning law lighting regulations, and recommended levels for outdoor lighting set by the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America. So that was to address the concern regarding lighting intensity and off-site light spillage. Okay, absent any comments, the next condition addressed the dumpster and dumpster enclosure. As currently drafted, the dumpster and dumpster enclosure to be maintained in a manner that eliminates the release or blowing of paper or cardboard or other waste materials. There was discussion that the board had raised about locking dumpsters. The applicant had responded that in this case, they're constructing a dumpster enclosure, which would eliminate wind within that, and that's within the board's determination as to whether that's adequate to address the concern regarding blowing debris on the site.
I think that's fine.
Okay, the next condition addresses stormwater compliance. The approval would be subject to any final comments of the Brunswick Planning Board engineer and the Brunswick Water Department stormwater officer on the project stormwater pollution prevention plan and compliance with New York State Department of Environmental Conservation stormwater regulations. That was discussed a moment ago concerning the town's signature of the MS4 compliance or completion form that would allow coverage under the state's general permit for stormwater activities during construction. And that has been reviewed by Wayne and also by Bill Bradley as the town's stormwater officer. No further comments. The next condition the town does require, where stormwater facilities continue to be maintained and owned privately, the execution of a stormwater management facilities maintenance and easement agreement with the town of Brunswick. The town does have a standard form stormwater maintenance agreement that will need to be reviewed and ultimately approved by the town board for execution by the town.
Just one question about that. There's two separate parcels, but they appear to tie together with the stormwater. So will that maintenance agreement be across both lots and a major component is under the western lot, and the receptors are on, several of them are on the eastern lot. I'm not sure how it's worded, but the stormwater management facility maintenance and easement agreement be pursuant to both lots. Yeah.
So based on that comment, I've added some language to this proposed condition so that it would read execution of a stormwater management facilities maintenance and easement agreement with the town of Brunswick by owners of each lot, which must identify and describe cross easements for drainage. Is it one integrated stormwater plan for the site passing between the two lots?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So that agreement should identify that and identify that there are cross easements. The town's easement for access would be over both lots. In general, the way that works is the private owners are required to own, operate, maintain, repair the stormwater management facilities for appropriate operation in compliance with their permit. If they fail to do that, the town does have the ability through this agreement to access the site and perform that work and charge the applicant back. The applicant fails to pay those costs, the town is able to lien the properties through in the nature of unpaid tax, and it will be levied on the next real property tax bill. The town does this because under the state stormwater regulations, the town also has legal responsibilities for compliance with the state stormwater program and to ensure that the town does comply with those legal responsibilities. Any questions on that? The next three conditions all deal with highway work permits. New York State Department of Transportation highway work permit for work in the right-of-way of Hoosick Road, New York Route 7. Rensselaer County Highway Department highway work permit for work in the right-of-way of McChesney Avenue, County Route 134. And Town of Brunswick Highway Department highway work permit for work in the right-of-way of Mohawk Avenue. The next condition deals with the condition of Mohawk Avenue pre and post construction. This is a condition which the planning board has utilized in other site development projects. Currently as drafted, a pre-construction engineering inspection report on the condition of Mohawk Avenue shall be prepared in coordination with the Town of Brunswick Highway Department and Town of Brunswick Building Department, and a post-construction engineering inspection report on the condition of Mohawk Avenue shall be prepared in coordination with the Brunswick Highway Department and the Brunswick Building Department. And any damage to Mohawk Avenue as a result of construction vehicles or other use of Mohawk Avenue during construction on the project site shall be repaired by the applicant to achieve pre-construction conditions. All such repair work, if any, shall be completed prior to the issuance by the Brunswick Building Department of a certificate of occupancy for the project. As I'm reading that, I think we should add to the town's standard condition that the pre and post construction engineering inspection reports are to be prepared by the applicant for submission to the town.
Should we say in that last part there, to achieve at least pre-construction conditions? I mean, they want to exceed the condition of pre-existing pre-construction conditions.
The way it was discussed with the zoning board when they brought this up was they wanted the building department's eyes on it. I don't know if you want us to prepare a report that has been peer reviewed by building, or if building would just go out and document it.
Yeah, I prefer you do. I don't have the time to do that. I'd be glad to review it, but I don't have the time to do that report.
It's simply taking some photos, documenting some
Condition, sure.
observations of existing conditions.
Yep.
That has been done in the past on other projects. You may look to, subject to check, see, you can check the file of a couple of other projects where that's been required.
Okay.
And just be consistent with that.
Okay.
And then the last condition which the planning board discussed were the construction hours. So here, construction activities are limited to Monday through Friday. You can discuss and set those timeframes, and Saturday to discuss those timeframes. We can add here, if the board chooses to, no Sunday or holiday.
I would request that be added.
And there is also, this has been done as well on other construction projects, most particularly the Hannaford construction project. These limitations are not applicable to activities occurring wholly within enclosed buildings. And that condition is subject to further discussion by the board, and you can establish those timeframes. Hold on that discussion for a moment. There's also the subdivision component of the application. Substantive provision 2 would be the Town of Brunswick Planning Board approves the subdivision application as described above and grants final subdivision approval. The conditions you just discussed are appropriate for the site plan and special use permit, but the subdivision approval is without condition and the plat could be stamped and signed. So this is what the board had discussed. If there are any changes, additions, deletions, that's up to the board and it's the board's determination.
Just to be clear, the application has to prepare a report on the condition of Mohawk Avenue both before this project starts and then after.
That's correct. That's what the condition is. And any damage to that's to be repaired by the applicant. And Wayne's comment was well placed to at least the conditions that existed pre-construction.
Before we get into construction hours, I have a question regarding how does all this tie in, the completion of this project, to what I would assume would be a new traffic light? How is that
Yeah, so part of your secret determination for the negative declaration required traffic mitigation. So the traffic mitigation that's reviewed and accepted is what's been accomplished.
I think the question I have is before, I would assume that light would have to be operational before the business is open.
Yeah, so there's no driveway or fourth leg to that signal. So yes, some type of signal upgrade is going to be needed for that driveway before that driveway could be open, and DOT would require that.
Okay. Who, does DOT pay for that, or that new light?
Signal, and it's all on the applicant right now for all these improvements. The
Okay.
light, the road widening, curbing, sidewalk, pedestrian, push buttons, there's.
Required inspection as part of the.
Yeah.
Sorry, and is that, mean that the owner is in control of the signal?
No,
'Cause there is a signal
there's a signal
there
there,
now, so you're just
owned by
modifying
the
the
state.
opening.
We'll be upgrading the state system at our cost. The state will maintain ownership of it. They'll have inspection obligations throughout all the duration of construction to make sure it's built in conformance with their standards. And they'll accept long-term maintenance and operation of it.
You have to do the light before you start construction?
Should there be some condition that the light has to be, installed and operational before occupancy?
That's, and given that the issue of traffic mitigation is in part of your deliberations, that could serve as a condition if the board chooses. This is somewhat similar to the Hannaford project again, where the light installation needed to be completed before, I believe in that case, before a certificate of occupancy was issued. So one possible condition here would be the traffic improvements at McChesney Avenue and Hoosick Road. New York Route 7 must be completed prior to the issuance of the CO by the building department.
So what I would suggest is maybe some type of authorization from DOT prior to issuance of C of O. And the reason I say that is there's a lot of work that's going with this traffic signal and road widening. There's a lot of materials that need to be ordered that are sometimes back ordered. And not all three of these businesses may open on the same day. So if we can get the light up, our driveway installed, but the widening of McChesney may not be completed yet, and we're only opening the mattress firm, DOT might be comfortable with the mitigation that was completed to date to allow the mattress firm to open. They'll then come back and say, okay, well, if you're gonna open all the stores, then we want everything completed, because the mattress firm wasn't what triggered the widening of McChesney, it might have been the whole thing. So what I'm trying to do is just add some flexibility in there. If something changes, the plan is right now, have the traffic signal completed, everything completed before opening. That's the plan. But what I'm trying to do is just say, the what if scenario, okay, if DOT is satisfied, then we can open the store.
How are you gonna get in and out of the site during construction? You're not gonna go with
Existing
Mohawk the
driveways.
whole time?
Right now, we've got access through the existing curb cuts. There's 7 curb cuts accessing the property. And DOT's been fully involved with the activity that's going on site right now. And before those buildings come down, they're asking for additional work on traffic control that we are seeking a permit for from DOT right now for the temporary measures to allow access to the site during construction. That'll be separate from the offsite improvements.
Can we keep construction stuff off of Mohawk?
There's portions on that side of the demolition of the building right now. It is going off of that driveway, so they need access off of Mohawk. I don't know if you've gone through phasing plans of when you know you're gonna be off Mohawk and over into the eastern side of the site.
Well, for the foreseeable future, you obviously have to access Mohawk to bring the first building down, or the four Mohawk building down.
Right.
And then the plan is to jump over to the mattress Chipotle side. And we would use the existing curb cuts to access that while we seek the New York State DOT permit, because this curb cut is independent of the traffic signal. So we can utilize, the current entrances to get into here while we wait for that permit and build that. Once we build that curb cut, part of building that will be to eliminate the other curb cuts. And then that'll be the permanent construction, so that when this won't be built at the same time, this will be built second.
Okay.
Andy, should we have something stating that pre-construction for Mohawk for the demo also? If they're gonna be using Mohawk as demo, having trucks going in and out of there before construction? That's on I.
I'll defer to Wayne, which,
Okay.
I just have a question. So for the demo of 4 mobile houses, it's one trailer in, one trailer out, and then all the other houses are going to be accessed off of Hoosick. Is the question to do the pre-construction part of the demo of the one house? Because there's no other curb cuts on Mohawk.
Right, but should we do pre-construction of Mohawk, the condition, before they start going in that way truck?
Basically, you need to access that one lot, for your, the trailer and your excavator.
No, the excavator is going to be trailer, but we're bringing in trailers to bring all the debris out to CP.
How you getting the excavator in there? How's he getting?
It's only going to be 125. So right now, the whole beer parking lot, that's how we got the tree chipper in the crane, and then right off the beer parking lot. I mean, the construction on that side of the site, once.
So you bring it in just like a 40-yard dumpster or something?
No, it'll be a trail, yeah.
Trailer?
Because we're trying to limit in and out, in and out. Each house is about one trailer.
I think if there's gonna be damage to Mohawk Avenue, it'll be, during construction, not necessarily the demo of that one house.
I mean, I kind of want to be candid. We are doing a new
How about you
site.
take pictures of it before you do that demo and,
Yeah, that's we can document the condition now.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well, yeah, you can do it now.
Right, we'll take photos and you have a baseline to go off of.
Because I know you're saying it's gonna be one house, but, you know, if you're not there overseeing it, somebody might end up.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, that's the low spot, that's the, the infiltration area. Like I said, our plan is to work our way down and then focus for this summer, the, how much pull in that And then once the curb cut gets in, fall back.
So you're gonna put up the eastern side first, and
Just the way the construction drawings are going right now, and that's what's gonna happen.
if you're going in these curb cuts, now are you responsible for recurving the street?
So the whole front is getting redone.
There's probably close to $1 million in offsite improvements that will be required here. More prices through 2020.
The signal will always push it.
Is the trailer gonna be able to go in the yard or is it gonna be parked on mobile?
No, it'll be in the driveway.
It's not gonna block.
No.
Not enough width there.
Which is why they moved into the other ones, we had to reach out to DOT because backing a trailer in those driveways will require some, temporary stoppage. When I say temporary, you go to the tune of 30 seconds. Like a pull in, stop traffic, back in and leave it, and we did that because just, you're limiting your stoppage. In order to bring 30 yards, you need to compute it 3 per house, or it's 1 per house. So there's 7 temporary 30-second stoppages.
Okay. Guess you answered all. Now, I guess we should obviously address the hours of operation.
Right, and then that should obviously be discussed based on the discussion concerning the Mohawk Avenue condition as drafted, characterizing as an engineering inspection report claim may be too much. What it sounds like is an inspection report that's photographic evidence of conditions of the road. Is that correct?
Existing conditions, certainly.
So a pre-construction inspection report on the condition of Mohawk and a post-construction inspection report. And then did discuss the coordination with DOT on the traffic improvements and the traffic light. The applicant has proposed a condition that would include authorization from New York State DOT regarding traffic improvements at McChesney must be, I guess, submitted to the town of Brunswick prior to the issue of CO. Again, that's the board determination that's been proposed by the applicant, but that's, you should get some input from Wayne, but that's another condition that you could consider.
I had a question about Wayne, whether or not they typically issue a letter like that, authorizing.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna get that out of DOT.
You will. We just went through this with the big Chick-fil-A in Albany on Central Avenue. The pedestrian signal and the pedestrian poles that the signals operate on were backordered. So we had to get a letter that DOT was satisfied until the opening of that, or they were satisfied with the opening pending that the signals would be installed once they were received. So that's just an example of a situation.
You don't plan on opening anything until the signals are out.
That's not the plan.
Because there's no traffic control there.
Exactly. There's no point.
You can't.
That's why I'm saying, DOT is gonna be smart about that too. They're not gonna let us open. But if there's a situation that arises and DOT is comfortable with allowing that driveway to open, that
All the construction is done, but you don't have to light the
That's-
head pole.
one situation that
Yeah.
could, that's right.
Well, and the other thing too is this will be a bonded practice, so we're gonna have to post a bond with DOT to do this, to guarantee the work. So obviously, if we don't do it, then they'll call us on a bond. But the other thing that we run into with these is, the timing with the blacktop plants, there's just a lot of what ifs, to Tim's point. So even, we've done this in the past where the head is backordered, so we could install a temporary head that achieves the same function, but is just not the permanent head. So if the intersection's functional, but if we're out of season for blacktop on McChesney, that might have to get done, 2 months later, or 3 months later. So we're just trying to keep ourselves flexible. We've been here for a long time, look how long it took just DOT to return an email. So working through construction is equally as challenging, so just trying to keep flexibility, I would keep looking for.
Okay with that, Wayne?
I think we can allow some flexibility, but upon full build out, I think everything has to be in place.
Okay.
When you take these houses down, what do you do with the foundation?
We're actually gonna recycle it. We're gonna take the concrete, have it crushed, and then we take the depression as well. On the right side of the site, it's a cut, so we're actually gonna be removing material. And on the left side of the site, it's a fill, so we're replacing fill and gradient so that it's safe.
Take the foundations out and then backfill the hole?
Now, when you say crush these up, is that done on site?
It's hauled off site. It's just, I'm not a C&D guy, so we take the material to a landfill that has to go, but anything that we can, the blacktop, the concrete, anything that doesn't have to go to C&D, I will send it.
Okay.
In our in case, right, a lot of guys stay with. So just touching on the construction hours, I remember now why we had the larger window. We just ran into situations where the dumpster gets picked up at 6:30 and we get a call, or the concrete truck shows up at 6:45 before 7. So giving us that, 7 to 5 is the typical work schedule, but giving us that 6 to 6 or 6:30 to 6 was kind of what we were looking for, just to avoid the 6:58 phone call because the concrete truck pulled in and had the backup alarm going. So that's why we typically kind of just give ourselves an authorization. But the weekend, or I'm sorry, the Sundays and the holidays, we can fully adhere to.
Okay.
So no work on the weekend.
Sundays, Saturdays, we like to keep it open, so we push it to, instead of, we're willing to push the start date a little bit. It's, again, just for flexibility. We'd rather not pay the overtime, but if it rained like it did the last 2 weeks and or something like that, it's something that happens.
So is working on Saturdays a guarantee? Okay.
It's overtime.
Okay.
And the hours on Saturday, we would say, that's regular.
You're talking like 8 to 6 or something?
We do 6 to 6,
Any suggestions there, the board?
Yeah, I think starting work 6 is a little bit early.
I think 6 to 6, Monday to Friday, and then 8 to 5 on Saturday.
I'm sorry, I didn't believe you.
I said 6 to 6, Monday through Friday, and then 8 to 5 on Saturday.
I think 6 is a little early.
It's better than 4. It's,
Well, I mean, there's,
I think it's,
That's good as Saturday.
Well, the point is he at times has no control over, you know, trucks coming in.
I mean,
The trucks will sit there and, you don't want it backing up it, so.
I mean, it's just 6:30 would be fine. That's comfortable.
My experience with construction crews is they come in at like 7:30, and then leave at 4.
You're 100% right. There's the truck, on a concrete day.
Yeah.
They pull in at 6:30 and back up to the hole and wait for the masons to show up, and that back up as a backup alarm. So it's
that's
just,
good, as a GC, you can tell the trucks when to show up.
we try, and it's just sometimes, with the plans for bigger loads, we're fighting to get the concrete.
Tell them to bring a bag of shoes.
All right. So the suggestion from you is 6 to 6, and then
maybe 6:30 to 6, and then
6:30 to 6. All right. This is, and, I think the hours, the building condition on the hours of operation is in the resolution.
There is not.
We know that the hours of the market are, you know, typically what the other two businesses would be. All right, let's come up with some hours here. 6:30 to 6, weekdays, and 8 to 4 on Saturday.
I'm okay with that.
6:30 to 4 on Saturday, sounds reasonable.
Okay.
Wait. You say 6:34 on Saturday?
8 o'clock. 8 to 4.
Oh, I thought you feel better for Saturday, sorry.
8 to 4 on Saturdays,
Well, now you want some.
Sorry.
and then weekdays, we're talking 6:30 to 6. You're happy with 6:30 to 6, or 6:30 to 5, or anything less than that, more than that?
And then what about the thought of adding, unless requested and approved by the building department? So DOT is probably gonna require night work here, where we can't construct some of the street work during the meeting hours. And that's out of our control.
Well, why don't we make it for the site, construction on the site,
Outside the right of way.
outside.
But what if run into a payment window and have one more day to pay, but we could go beyond 6 o'clock? It's kind of the situation that I'm saying. So with advance notice, we can request and seek approval by the building department to exceed those hours.
And no Sundays or holidays.
How long do you think this is gonna take to build?
4 to 5 months.
4 to 5 months.
Yeah, well, for the right
For
side.
all these buildings?
No, the right side is saying 4 to 5 months. For the dirty work, probably, quick check.
They can do it in 6 months. Get it.
How long?
6 months for quick check once they start.
6 months for,
6 months for quick check once they start. Once we get our building permit, we're 4 to 5 months on the right side.
4 to 5 months for the rest.
Quick Check does their own
So
construction.
basically a year.
Yes. They can overlap construction.
They'll do their own tanks and the gas, because the gas component, they'll do their own tanks and pumps and all that.
So you're off of that.
Well, we oversee the whole thing, we don't care, but, we don't want to touch the tanks and all that. So we'll do that.
If there's a problem, they call you.
I said 6:30. It's 6:30 is too early. It's for a year.
Well, he told you
Take me-
the hours is 7, right? So the 6:30 is providing some buffer for the guys who show up early. So the intent is the 7 o'clock.
How many vehicles are, like during the typical construction are on that site for employees?
Project like this, max, during site work in concrete, we could have upwards of 15 guys, 15, 18 guys. Once you get into the finishes, it's probably gonna drop down around 10.
And their vehicles will be parked on,
We'll have a lay down area. That's the beauty of staging.
okay. Is everybody comfortable with 6:30 to 6? No. Okay, we got one that's uncomfortable. How about down at that end?
Well, I think like they're stating that, an emergency or somebody shows up that you're not expecting.
I mean, typically.
I can understand that.
Like I said, I'm just trying to avoid a call where somebody backs in at 6:49 and there's a complaint. The intent is not to start early. Guys like to show up early, let coffee, beat traffic, all these things, and, but busy work and dirty work and a lot of work's not gonna start till 7.
So typically your workday is like from 7 to 4.
Yeah, 7 to 3:30 actually.
Okay.
And that's standard construction, 7 to 3:30. A few guys show up at 8. And
Okay.
they work till 4:30, but.
On Saturday, we agreed on 8 to 4. This, once again, is your plus or minus an hour on either end for people that. Is everybody except Don comfortable with this? Okay.
And are those restrictions for the project site outside the New York State DOT right of way?
Whatever,
That would be my recommendation.
yes, okay. You're okay with that?
Yeah, they're gonna tell us what we can and can't work.
You still have
You're
the,
not gonna control.
the option of going to you if there's a problem, correct? Now, how would you handle that?
Well, I would see what the activity was, and if, they lost a rain day, or if they have to stay late to finish paving because of, trucking and get the job done, take that into consideration.
Do you notice that at all? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I've only been here since February, but I can tell you from my past construction experience, paving tends to run late. It's dependent on the weather, depending on trucks, depending on the plant. Plant could break down in the middle of it. You got your whole crew there waiting for the plant to reopen, so it does happen.
Okay.
Once you start paving, you can't stop.
Right.
If you have to go over, you have to go over.
Okay. Did we answer your question, Andy?
Give me one moment. So the hours are Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 6, Saturday, 8 to 4. For the project site outside the New York State DOT right-of-way, applicant may apply to the Brunswick Building Department for additional construction hours, subject to the discretion of the building department.
Mhm.
And that these limitations are not applicable to activities occurring wholly within enclosed buildings. Is the board in agreement with that, or any further changes?
I'm in agreement with that. Any further changes? Okay. I think
Now, if we could go back to the traffic improvements at McChesney and Hoosick Road. Wayne, are you okay with language, or recommend to the board language authorization from New York State DOT regarding the traffic improvements?
Yes.
must be provided to the town of Brunswick prior to issuance of a CO.
That was for finals, look at the whole area out. We're willing to work on the temporary measures if we do.
You want to just review what sections on.
So within the draft resolution, condition 1, there have been no changes to subpoints A, B, C, D. On subpoint E, it will now read execution of a stormwater management facilities maintenance and easing agreement with the town of Brunswick by owners of each lot, which must identify and describe cross easements for drainage. No changes to F, G, or H. Letter I will now read a pre-construction inspection report on the condition of Mohawk Avenue shall be prepared by the applicant in coordination with the Town of Brunswick Highway Department and Town of Brunswick Building Department, and a post-construction inspection report on the condition of Mohawk Avenue shall be prepared by the applicant in coordination with the Brunswick Highway Department and Brunswick Building Department, and any damage to Mohawk Avenue as a result of construction vehicles or other use of Mohawk Avenue during construction of the project site shall be repaired by the applicant to achieve at least pre-construction conditions. While such repair work, if any, shall be completed prior to the issuance by the Brunswick Building Department of a certificate of occupancy for the project. Condition J, construction activities are limited to Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. for the project site outside the New York State DOT right-of-way. The applicant may apply to the Brunswick Building Department for additional construction hours, subject to the discretion of the building department. These limitations are not applicable, strike that. No construction on Sundays or legal holidays. These limitations are not applicable to activities occurring wholly within enclosed buildings. And a new K is authorization from the New York State Department of Transportation regarding traffic improvements at McChesney Avenue and Huzik Road, New York Route 7, must be provided to the town of Brunswick prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy by the town of Brunswick Building Department. Those would be the conditions as currently proposed to the special use permitted site plan. And the resolution does include subdivision approval as well.
Just with the DOT. You said agree to any.
Hold on. You read K again.
Authorization from the New York State Department of Transportation regarding traffic improvements at McChesney Avenue and Huzik Road, New York Route 7, must be provided to the town of Brunswick prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy by the town of Brunswick Building Department. If there's discussion about, you'll be issuing, I presume, multiple COs per building
Yes.
on the project site.
Just to explain it to the applicant, basically you have to have a letter from DOT accepting wherever the DOT works before you can open 1, 2, or 3 of the stores. So if they're on board with opening a store, that letter can be provided to the town in order to be your CO.
I will add prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy for each respective building. Okay. Wait, you okay with that language?
Yeah, I'm okay. You okay with the, all the provisions of the, resolution? Is there any questions by the board on any part of the proposed resolution? Does Does anyone see any reason why we can't move forward on the resolution? And,
And if the board is prepared to act on the resolution, it does need to be offered by a member and seconded by a member, and we'll put that to a roll call vote.
I'll offer the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, the foregoing resolution offered by Chairman Oster and seconded by Member Tarbox is duly put to a roll call vote as follows. Chairman Oster,
Yay.
Member Henderson,
Yay.
Member Krieger,
Okay,
Member Peterson is absent, Member Tarbox,
Yay.
Member Stanquist.
Yay.
And Member Chorney. So the foregoing resolution was thereupon declared duly adopted. I will prepare the final resolution based on the deliberation tonight and the votes, and that will become part of the project record.
Thank you all very much for your time tonight and over the past couple of years on this. It's going to be a good project, and you guys certainly want to try to draw a
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, moving ahead in our agenda. Toledo Development Group. You're up here already.
Can you turn that so we can see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening. Francis Bossolini for the applicant. I suppose it's continued discussion. Last time we talked about traffic a little bit. I submitted a summary of just a comparison of what we expect for traffic from the Dollar General versus what might have been accounted for previously for the car wash that was there. So there's just some documentation showing that the retail generates less traffic in the peak hour than the car wash that was anticipated previously. We'd like to have some kind of conclusion maybe or direction on SECRA. Keep in mind that the whole project was reviewed in 2015, 2016 as a project for that Diamond Rock Plaza building and a car wash that was here, 4-bay car wash. That SECRA form, if you recall, indicated a convenience store and gas pumps and the whole like there. That has not been built. Subsequently, this northern parcel that we're reviewing now was subject to a zone change application. That was last year, 2024. And there was a public hearing and a SECRA process undertaken at that time by the town board in anticipation of that zone change from the industrial zone to a retail use. And this size and style use was what was presented. So we feel it might be appropriate to consider that we don't need to reopen SECRA. We did submit a long form. I don't believe any of the thresholds that were established prior have been exceeded. Probably is a little bit less. We do have an existing active stormwater permit, SMU's permit for the site. As part of that original site plan approval, has been open for probably almost 10 years. And again, this both from a disturbance standpoint and an impervious area standpoint, is of less intensity than what was originally contemplated in that stormwater report from nine years ago. We submitted we're on preliminary plans, and we're willing to review and accept any commentary that the review engineer might have. It's a fairly straightforward project. It's existing water and sewer facilities on site, as we talked about, minimal grading. We have, as talked about last time, we've gotten some comments from the Spiegeltown Fire Department, a couple of minor comments there. And we have identified that we'll restrike the Oakwood Avenue with that turn lane, and the applicant landowner, Mr. Murley, has already directed me to proceed with that work, so he's committed to that as well. So we're here to answer any comments, maybe discuss procedures, if we can get to I like what you had for resolution on the last applicant. There are a lot of things that you could put right into ours, so it's at the board's discretion.
Well, at this point, we have, now, I'm going to ask Wayne, did you have a chance to review the EAF?
Yes.
I think I'm trying to.
It's essentially the same EAF that was submitted for the last application that was approved 10 years ago.
Do you agree with the applicant that there really is no significant change?
Basically, they're just talking about building between what was a car wash and is now
Okay.
9,000 square foot grocery store. It's a parking.
Well, one of the things we have to, in addition to secret, we have to get to a determination whether we have a complete enough application to have a public hearing. You
Does
secretly,
this have to go for county referral or not?
Yes. But once the application is deemed completed, it can get referred to the county, and the board can move forward with scheduling a public hearing, simply do not act until.
Do we need a hearing? Is that discretionary on this board, where there was a hearing when the zone change was done for this use? And it's my understanding there was minimal or no comment.
So the Brunswick zoning law provides that a public hearing is discretionary for the planning board on site plans. It's entirely within your discretion as to whether you want to hold one or not. Historically, on the project site, you
refresh
can
my
hold-
memory on the, we did an action on the, we had a public hearing on the zone change, right?
So there was a public hearing on the initial site plan approval that included the car wash. The board did schedule and hold a public hearing on the proposed bus garage parking. The town board did hold a public hearing on the zoning amendment from industrial to B15. I think this is now B15.
That's correct, yes.
So this would be a site plan, specific site plan in front of you. To hold a public hearing is within the board's discretion. You have held public hearings on the prior proposals for the site.
For the record, that zone change was granted on February 8th, 2024, so a little more than a year ago, so it's probably not stale yet. I don't know when the hearing was. I would assume the hearing was probably shortly prior to that.
Comments from the board? I thought it was pretty well, given that if it's site plan on a state highway, It'll be,
And
Route 4? I thought that was a state highway.
It's New York State Route 40 overlay, it's on a county road. The permanent jurisdiction is with the county, yes.
Okay. I stand correct? Strike that. I mean, I have no opinion one way or another. Public hearing. I could go either way on that.
We have 3 weeks till our next meeting. He's gotta come back. We could do the public hearing. It wouldn't put him in 2 weeks.
If we have a complete application.
That is a good food. Secret form is good.
We had a lot of people here for the bus garage.
Yes, the bus garage was probably very negatively,
They didn't like the buses starting at 6 AM.
yeah, it was not well received.
Yeah, I think in retrospect, we probably should proceed with a public hearing. And since there is 3 weeks, we could schedule it for our next meeting. You have just determined that you think the application is complete enough to present to have available to the public? Yes. Yep. All right.
And we send the plans referrals to the county.
Okay.
Do you think we could have a draft resolution for that meeting as well? Is it appropriate to do it?
No, it would not be appropriate. We'd like to hear comments, if any. And board's procedure is that if public comments are received, the applicant will need to respond in writing for the record.
Okay.
And then upon review and consideration of those responses, they'll deliberate on any action on the site plan.
Let's go back to Cedar. Cedar can be,
Well, my recommendation on this is, despite the action by the town board, I cannot recall whether it was a coordinated review, nor can I recall as we sit here, in all likelihood, the town board reviewed the zone change under seeker generically, and it was likely that any specific site plan would need to be subject to seeker review by the planning board. Having said that, there is an existing seeker record for this site. Wayne has indicated he's reviewed the EAF, and it seems consistent with the prior seeker record. My counsel would be to make a seeker determination, as this does technically constitute a new action, as it's a new site plan, but take into account the existing seeker record and the EAF that's been submitted on this application. And this is a site plan application, so there's no requirement that the seeker determination be made prior to scheduling the public hearing. That can be made thereafter.
okay. That was going to be my next question. So we'll have our public hearing on June 6th, or no, June 5th.
June 5, Thursday, right? June 5.
Yep, that's our next one. I mean, usually we have to skip a meeting because of notification requirements, but since there's 3 weeks in this particular span between May 15th today and June 5th, we're able to properly notice it and be able to conduct it at our next meeting. So that's a plus for you.
And the county referral can be made, is that what I understand it?
Yes.
The county referral can be made.
Once it's deemed complete, then the practice has been the building department will forward down to the county for their review and recommendation. So yes, that can proceed.
So we deemed it complete.
Well, the review engineer has, in his opinion, said it's complete.
Okay.
That's a board determination, but they have determined to schedule the public hearing, so I think inherent in that is a completeness
And I
determination.
think it's fair to assume that we take the best. All right, do you have any other questions for us?
No, I think I'm good. We'll come back
And that would be 7 o'clock for us.
Yeah, 7 o'clock. You're first on the agenda with the public hearing, and you will be first on the agenda for the business meeting.
Okay, very good, thank you.
All right. Okay. Johnson Associates site plan.
He is,
Dude, he's
got
not,
his dates mixed up. Times.
Say that again? You're not here, I know that. So did you request to be in on our next meeting?
Yeah, voting is next week.
Okay. So he's adjourned to our next meeting,
Yes.
which is June 5th. And our final item on the regular agenda is Brunswick Acres.
Good evening. Andy Brick Law Firm, Charles Casal. Yeah, it's with me. Going to be super quick because we've done a lot of work tonight. I know it's late, so we're here requesting an additional 90-day extension for our subdivision approval. And you will recall, we were here in February, and we asked for an extension because one of the conditions of the approval was getting the water district extension approved by the town board. And while we were trying to do that, there was some change in the town attorney's office, so we didn't know the appropriate person to contact. That's been resolved. We did contact Dave Bloomberg, who's the town attorney, and then we requested that the town board consider the water district extension, and then he informed me he wanted to see copies of our easements. We're required to get 3 easements from neighbors, 2 from neighbors and 1 from National Grid. So I had provided the draft easements to him, and upon their review with town staff, he came back and said the town's position is that they would like the easements to be signed by the property owners before they will schedule a water district extension public hearing. So we went back out into the street, and I'm happy to report we do have 2 of those signed by the local neighbors who were very helpful. We don't have National Grid yet, which has been somewhat of a struggle. So we are optimistic we will get that within the next 90 days, as well as have the public hearing. Hopefully the town board will approve our extension, but we do need the additional 90 days. That's what we do.
So how many extensions have you already had?
1, this would be the second.
No, the town except this would be the third, right?
No, we had to get a reapproval of the original subdivision and the site plan, but the actual extensions from the last approval, there's only been 1 we were here for. But we did have to get the entire subdivision and site plan reapproved back in August.
If we grant this, this would more or less coincide with the 180 days on the PDD, is that
Correct, yes.
Like the end, I don't know exactly, what is it, February, or August 23rd?
Correct. And what we're targeting is to have it all wrapped up by then, so we don't have to come back and request anything from anybody again. We are subject to National Grid, which is been discussed.
Okay. I have reviewed this with Andy, we've gone through this timetable as far as the first 90 days. There actually was, I think if you recall, there was a question of whether this meeting actually was beyond the 90 days, and then we recalculated the number of days based on the calendar, and came up with the 90 days actually expires on the 20th, I believe.
Somewhere in that neighborhood, but concluded that the current request is timely.
Yeah, so that this request is on time.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
And, I mean, since you're on the deadline with the PDD approval, this almost matches up with it, so I don't have any problem with another 90-day extension. Wayne, do you have any comments on that?
Nope, no comment.
Andy, do you have any additional remarks that you'd like to make on that?
I do not, sir.
Okay, polling the board. Everybody fine? Then we should make a motion to grant a second 90-day extension.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all set.
Thank you.
Sorry you had to wait so long.
Oh, no, I enjoy listening to you deliberate. Compared to some of the other boards out there, it's a pleasure listening to you. The
Okay.
information you pull out, it's fun. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You guys do know you can hang meat.
Last time was too warm.
Not wrong.
Trying to keep
That
us-
concludes our regular agenda. We have one item for under new business. Hal Smith. He has applied for a special use permit for an accessory apartment. So I turn the floor over to you.
Yes. I'm doing this, so, please, we're looking to put
We're new at this. I mean, really.
oh, no, I've been to these. We're looking to put an in-law apartment on my daughter's house
Okay.
at 13 Heatherwood Road.
That's up by you.
Yeah, unfortunately, he'd be a neighbor, yeah.
You want that straight?
Yeah, straight. Yeah, it is, it adjoins my property, that's correct.
Okay. This is going above the garage?
No, the garage is on this side of the building.
Okay.
We cannot go to that side of the building, it's all wetlands,
Okay.
okay? There's no room to go in the back this way. The only way would be is to go to the left side of the building. We've already met with the zoning board because it doesn't meet the side setback. They've scheduled a public hearing for the 19th.
Okay.
Uh,
What's the distance right now that you have?
It would be 12 foot 8 at the closest point.
Okay.
There is a line of, this is Mr. Manal, Martin Keats Manal House here. There is a line of existing pine trees here. And it has a complete barrier, you can't see the house.
You're gonna have a public hearing on it anyway with the zoning board,
Yes.
and I'm sure the neighbor will probably be there. Is that correct?
We've spoken,
Okay, so how did that go?
fine, I think. Teresa said she can't wait to go walking with my wife.
Okay.
Is there access, like pedestrian access, or emergency access out of that
Out of here,
part? Yes.
There'll- this breezeway, there'll be an access here, there'll be a doorway entering here, access into this, and there'll be, the basement will access the other basement.
Can they get from that new addition to the driveway without going through the existing building?
No. We're gonna use the existing walkway.
So there is a walk?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just like an emergency thing, if something happened at the apartment and emergency services has to get to
The
the
walkway
apartment.
is right here. Which actually goes to the entrance we'll be using.
What is the zoning board scheduled for?
19th.
Thank you.
Okay.
And septic field?
You have a thing with the septic.
How many bedrooms in the existing house?
There's 3 bedrooms, one is actually an office, but there's 3 bedrooms. There's a 1,250 gallon tank. We're looking to put 1 bedroom on it. The leach field is back here, it's six laterals at 55 feet.
We did talk to Rensselaer County, Wayne, and they said that we verify that the bedroom in the house is not being utilized. It can be swapped out with the bedroom in the addition.
What is it, the Rensselaer County told me we'd add 1,250 for 4 bedrooms. for a
Right.
septic tank. That's, Mr. Casal actually built the house. And they had approval for a 1,000 gallon tank. The septic company has given me a letter, it's not a 1,000 gallon tank, it's 1,250. It should be
This
in
is
the
the letter,
package.
this is the letter from Eagle Park Septic about this.
Yes,
Oh, it says it there, that serves the tank, or is that like?
this serves at 1,250 gallon.
It's just verifying the size of it.
Pass.
That's all.
Typically, it's 1,000 gallons for the 3-bedroom house.
Okay.
The one bedroom is 7 foot by 9 foot. It's my daughter's office,
Well, it's just one.
just one.
We just got this information just tonight. So, and you are under new business, so the purpose of the new business is to introduce the project, if you do an opportunity to tell us what you're gonna do, and then we will put you on a regular agenda for, to move forward towards a determination of the special use, which move forward towards approving. Special use permits do require a public hearing, even though you're going to have a public hearing with the zoning board, so you'll have two. But we can't act right now until the zoning board acts. So we'll put you on our agenda for our next meeting. Give us an opportunity to review this material. Our next meeting is 3 weeks. So it's on June 5th, which you probably know, because we'll be discussing that with you. And at that time, we can, hopefully you'll have some type of action by the zoning board. And then we can review this and then schedule our public hearing on the,
Okay.
all right?
Thank you for your time.
Okay, do you have any questions for us?
No.
You did a good job. First time.
Here's the door a few times.
Part-time job now?
I'm glad I had an office back there to go get the sweatshirt.
Hey, Hal, is this a difference from last night?
We were at court last night. It was 90-some degrees in here.
I stepped in here and I said, Jesus, I'm going to sweat.
It's got to be all 57.
You guys are, it's cold.
I think so. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, there isn't any other new business, Kevin?
No.
Okay. Is there any old business? Well, I thought we accomplished quite a bit tonight. I'm going to review our agenda. First on the agenda is the Valletto, Development Group, which is the Worley Woodford Avenue Dollar Store. They are scheduled for a public hearing at 7 o'clock, and then they will be first on the agenda for the meeting. Then we have Paramount Building Group, which is, once again, tentative, right? And then we have Johnson Associates. Oh, wait a second. I forgot CBE. Okay. And we're gonna coordinate, we firm on Thursday?
Thursday's good, and we can set up time.
Okay. So they're on for our next meeting also, with just a note that there's tentatively a site visit scheduled for Thursday.
Who's
the
reaching
22nd.
out to CBD? Just tell them that.
Okay.
Who is doing that?
Whatever time you're picking the afternoon, that's what.
You want me to reach out to CBD?
Um,
Just trying to,
Yes,
okay.
and then I want to be, you said, at least Don and I are to be in the first group. If anybody else wants to be in that first group,
Well, Linda can't, right? Linda can't, Mike can't, and Emma can't, so that leaves Dave and Andrew.
well, we can bring Dave along, because we only have 3.
Right.
They're gonna bring you on, Dave.
Yeah, come on, bring Dave.
They're gonna bring you on.
Do I gotta bring one?
Dave show up. You're in charge of pizza.
Be the young guy there.
Ooh, that hurts.
So I would plan at least one meeting on the 22nd. Is there some other date that you guys want?
The following
Is it necessary? You guys
I'm
want
on
it?
vacation, so
I'd like to go.
it's at 11 o'clock Thursday.
Well, why don't, when you, is there some, you want to do a Saturday?
I won't be back until.
I'm not here.
I'm leaving next week, not coming back.
I'll be back on the 8th.
Tired guys.
I'll be back on the 8th.
On the 8th, oh.
I have 2 appointments Thursday morning. Because
We were gonna do it in the afternoon.
just-
Would 1 o'clock work for you?
they don't put me in the hospital.
Let us know.
Last time I went to my cardiologist, I was there for 6 days in the hospital, so
Okay.
try to stay away from.
Why don't we tentatively, for 1 o'clock, it would be the 3 of us and you. All right?
After 7. Meet there, right?
Meet at the site?
Yes.
1 o'clock, 22nd.
22nd.
Mr. Beeswax, address a week from today.
And then you want to plan the following, so the other 3 are back.
We need armed guards.
I thought you weren't back until the 8th,
The 8th, yeah.
so that's after our next meeting.
Wait a minute, no, I'm sorry. I'm jumping in the
Okay.
July weekend.
I like your kind of vacations, they're like 3 weeks long.
No, I'll be back on the 27th.
Okay. I can
Back
do
on the
it.
27th.
Let's get back to the
I'm
agenda.
sorry, I jumped into July.
Okay, we got CVE, we got, Toledo,
All right, so
Johnston,
if I can review, Russ, we'll call it Murley's project,
okay,
public hearing and first on the business meeting.
Yep.
Paramount, is tentative, CVE, Johnston Associates, and Howe.
right. Okay. Is there any other business anybody wishes to discuss? Then I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in
Oh,
favor?
before you act on that, why don't you just generally discuss what you got in? I'll go
Yeah,
over
so
the
we have an application from Wireless Communications for the tower up on the rock quarry. We received the modifications they want to make to that tower. We have, 30 days to determine if the application is complete.
All right, so recall that these cell towers are subject to the Federal Telecommunications Act. And under that act and the federal regulations, if there is a minor unsubstantial modification to an existing facility, then while the applicant has to go through local zoning, federal law does require that that modification be approved if it meets certain criteria under federal regulations. The applicant has submitted the application and the cover letter going through those criteria and is asserting that this is a minor modification, subject to check by Kevin and Wayne. Okay? Presuming that it is, the timeframes under federal law are the board has 30 days after the application is made to determine whether the application is complete. If you fail to make that completeness determination within 30 days, the federal law says it's deemed complete. If the board determines, based on technical support, that the application is not complete, you have to identify the specific items of incompleteness and provide that in writing to the applicant. Once the application's complete, whether it's deemed complete initially or they supply the additional information, the board has an additional 30 days in which to act on the application. And again, federal law says if the criteria is met for a minor modification, you must approve it. Oddly enough, it also says you have to comply with local zoning. here in Brunswick that requires a special use permit. This would be technically an amendment to the special use permit, and a public hearing is mandatory. You must hold a public hearing, you must accept public comment, but federal law does require you to approve the application. So in practice, what happens is if there is willingness on the part of the applicant to address public comments received, that's fine. If the applicant says no, the application is complete, we're in compliance with federal law, then as a matter of law, the board must approve that. So that's what's facing you on this. I think Kevin and Wayne can review that for completeness. It would appear on first blush to be a fairly straightforward minor modification. They will be adding, as I understand it, 2 feet.
They're adding 2 feet to height. It's at 152 now, they're going to 154, and they are adding an outbuilding, a small 15 by 12, I think it is, telecommunication building to the site. So they are expanding the fence.
What happens when the site changes and that entire ridge line has dropped probably 100 feet in my estimation since the time the tower was installed? And I don't know if that has,
From the quarry, you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at that ridge every morning at 5:30. My cup of coffee, and I see blades in my house that I didn't see when I was there, when I first moved in 20 years ago.
Interesting.
I can hear all the grinding and the line
5:30
has
in the
changed.
Yeah, but aerial picture of what's there would be pretty eye-opening.
That-
Right,
Perhaps
so-
I should be off the record, but
Yeah, so with respect to the application, if the modifications resulted in a change to certain mitigations that were required,
Mhm.
not whether the surrounding topography or land use has changed, whether the modifications themselves impact what had been required for mitigation, you could review that.
okay.
But absent that, no. The board went through this most recently in the Creek Road
Mhm.
when the additional 20 feet was added. And in that case, determined that the board was compelled by federal law to approve that. And this would be the same situation.
Is this their one shot at that, or they?
So I did go over that with Kevin earlier. There is one, you get the opportunity to meet what are the criteria for a minor modification, and that's up to 20 feet in height. And there's other things too, but usually it's the height issue. And if you do the full 20 feet on your first application, you're done. You don't get another bite at the apple. But if you only come in for 2 feet, then there's still a window there where they could increase it, and under federal law would still be deemed a minor modification. So you get one crack to get the full amount of the criteria, or strike that. You get the ability to use the full criteria, whether it's in one application or more.
So a time limit on that?
No.
It's not like they have any neighbors. I mean, the quarry's their neighbor.
Well,
Some houses.
you said you reviewed it.
I read it today, yeah. Wayne has not seen it.
I haven't seen your answer. So if we don't do anything, it's gonna get approved anyway. It's gonna move forward.
If you don't do anything within 30 days, and that deadline's May 31, it will be deemed complete under federal law, and you would then move forward with your public hearing.
Well, first of all, we can't do anything because we'd have to call a special meeting.
That's correct. So your next meeting is June 5th, after the 30-day deadline. If you choose not to have a special meeting, then the application under federal law will be deemed complete, and you can review it at your June 5 meeting. There is a public hearing required. Okay? And so, just to update the board, the zoning law does require 10 days notice. The mailings to the adjacent property owners, the postings here weren't the issue. The issue was getting it published in the official newspaper. The town's official newspaper had been
Eastwood Press.
Eastwood Press. Eastwood Press has gone out of business. The town's secondary official newspaper still is the Charter Record. That you can get it published within a day or two. So on a necessary schedule, if you needed to have a public hearing within the 2 weeks, using the Charter Record, it's difficult, but could be done. Okay? You would need to get the notice out to them the next day for publication Saturday or Monday. I think you meet that. But if you were to review this at June 5th and schedule it for 2 weeks thereafter, we have to take a look at the calendar, but we might meet the notice requirements.
That'd be like, what, the 19th?
Yeah,
The first meeting in July is on the 3rd of July. I don't,
and that would be after the 60 days.
yeah, and that would be the day before the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Do we have a meeting on June 19th?
So we have a meeting on the 5th, then it would be the 19th, right? The 6th,
Juneteenth?
7th, 8th. If that got
That's a
published,
floating holiday.
if I'm reckoning correctly, Thursday, June 5th, Friday would be the 6th, the weekend is 7th and 8th, that Monday is the 9th. That would be 10 days before the 19th. We could get the notice to the record, and it would be published by that Monday, so you could hold your public hearing on the 19th for that tower application.
This guy who came in for the addition on his house, he's got to have a public hearing too, right?
Yeah.
And if we didn't have a meeting in July, he'd be the end of July before we could have a public hearing. You might be able to do 2 of them on the 19th.
That's correct.
Is that a holiday, the 19th of June?
Yes, it is Juneteenth.
Thursday the 19th? It's a day off. I don't know. I don't question those things.
Isn't it a floating holiday or something?
No.
No, it's a holiday, it's a state holiday.
It's going to shut down
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Well, hold
We
tight
already
for a
did
moment. I hate to say this, if you're not having a meeting June 19th because it is a state holiday and the town office will be closed, I presume, it's now one of the official state holidays, then you won't be holding a meeting that evening. So you'll need to consider when you're going to hold a meeting. Could be the following, during the following
I think
week.
the next, first meeting in July is the 4th of July.
No,
It's the 3rd.
I would suggest,
Third? I'm not, you're not gonna do that.
no. The second meeting in June is scheduled for June 19th, but that's a holiday.
Reschedule.
Then the next Thursday would be the 26th. That would make everyone's schedule a touch easier. So you can think about that on whether you want to schedule that meeting, your second June meeting for the 26th.
26th, and not worry about July 3rd.
That would seem to work.
We're putting ourselves out of work here.
All right,
No more
We just had 2
removes.
new holidays too, so.
Okay, we are all set with that. Any other things? And I, once again, will make a motion to adjourn, and we have a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have any-
They'll give us a lane. Stop right.
Did you find out anything about?
Hamilton saying, I didn't say anything.